Hello everyone, I'm Dead Knight and this is In It to Win It. Today we're going to be talking about Core Set 2021 and the Demon Hunter card pool. We're going to talk about the best card, according to me, the worst card, and the honorable mention, the card that we really need to talk about and get the discussion going. Before I begin, don't forget to hit subscribe below and get updates and emails about when my next videos are coming out so you can stay on top of the discussion and what's going on with the game. Anyway, let's get right to it. So, best card in Core Set 2021 for Demon Hunter for me is going to be Illdari Inquisitor. Maybe a surprise pick because many of you will be thinking about Kor'vas Bloodthorn, which we'll get to later. But for me, Illidari Inquisitor is going to be the top card for a few reasons. So Illidari Inquisitor is an 8/8 for 8 mana with Rush, and whenever your hero attacks, this guy will also attack your opponent. This is an incredible card. It is a very high mana cost, but it is a huge finisher, an absolute monster for Demon Hunter. So what you can do with this guy, you drop this down, you can blow through a taunt minion, which this guy's going to blow through most minions, and then take your hero power or your weapon and go to the face, and this guy follows right in for 8 more damage to the face. So huge swing. People might think that they'll be able to hide behind a taunt minion now that Consume Magic is gone for Demon Hunter in Standard, but with this guy, it's just going to trash them. So I think this guy is the major top end finisher for Demon Hunter. It's going to see a ton of action. The only thing that might hold it back is a high mana cost. If you're trying to keep a really low curve to get some early turn 4, turn 5, turn 6 wins, this guy might not be able to find space in your deck. But otherwise, I think pretty much every time this guy hits the table, you're going to get a win. If you're going to look at the stats on this guy for what the win percentage is for when you play it, it's going to be probably somewhere in the 70s or higher. Really transformational card for Demon Hunter. So what about the worst card for Demon Hunter? For me, that's easy. It is Coordinated Strike. Coordinated Strike is a 3 mana spell that is going to give you 3 1/1 minions with Rush. So this has been around since Demon Hunter launch. There's been a few times where people tried to experiment with this guy and Wrathscale Naga, which every time one of your minions dies deals 3 damage to a random enemy. So the issue with Wrathscale Naga was always that you got all these rush minions and you're trying to kill them so that your opponent will die, and then in the process, Wrathscale Naga kills all your opponent's minions. You're stuck with all these 1/1 rushes on the board. Then they kill your Wrathscale Naga, and you can't make it work. The other thing that we haven't really seen too many people try is with Feast of Souls. Then you get your old sort of Unleash the Hound, Starving Buzzard combo going, but Feast of Souls doesn't stick to the board. So what ends up happening is your opponent probably still has a board, you have a bunch of cards in your hand, and you're a little behind on tempo. So that hasn't really worked out either. Coordinated Strike, because of those reasons, really hasn't taken off, and I'm not seeing anything happening in Demon Hunter that's going to make this take off if it couldn't work with those cards. So Coordinated Strike just isn't really making the cut for me. You compare it to something like Command Illidari, which for 5 mana gives you 6 guys, so better value than Coordinated Strike, or Expendable Performers, which is insane value compared to this, where you can get 7 1/1s, and then when they all die, you get 7 more. So you're talking potentially 14 of these guys. Coordinated Strike starts to look pretty weak, and that's because it is. So hasn't seen much action until now, and I don't think it's going to start. As far as the most talked about card, we are going to have to obviously talk about Kor'vas Bloodthorn. This is a 2/2 for 2 charge, lifesteal, and whenever you play an outcast card, this returns to your hand. So the immediate comparison that people are talking about is Penflinger, and while this card is phenomenal, it is a different kind of card than Penflinger, and I think we need to think about it differently as well. So the thing with Kor'vas Bloodthorn is there aren't that many great outcast cards, and the ones that are out there aren't that cheap, so I don't see this coming in and out of play multiple times on the same turn like Penflinger was. I see this guy coming in for 2 mana, giving a 4 life swing by being able to charge the face and life stealing that back, and then going back to your hand to do again next turn. And when you think about what outcast cards can be playing, that's pretty much all its capacity is. The reason this guy is so good is because it's so inexpensive and because it has charge and lifesteal. So you're going to see this in fast aggro decks where you can put this guy on the board and start dealing face damage right away, and probably never going back to the hand. It'll probably die next turn. And you can also see this in some other decks that are going to be running Il'gynoth or some other control versions, where you can kind of sneak in a couple damage and gain a little life back in the meantime, and then do it again next turn, and hopefully basically turn some mana crystals into some life swings for you. That's great. The flexibility of this card means it's going to see a lot of action in a lot of different kind of decks, which arguably could make it the best card, but because I think the win rate is going to be not quite as high as Illdari Inquisitor, and also because we are at the mercy of taunt minions with this guy, because it has to attack, unlike Penflinger. An early taunt minion could just shut this guy down in aggro, and a large taunt minion in the middle of the game also shuts this guy down. So he's not going to help you deal with any threats on the board. He's going to help you chip away at your opponent's life, gain a little back, but it can't go through taunts. So that's a huge limiting factor for it that I think people might underestimate when they look at how bonkers this guy is on the face. So what do you think about this? I'm sure you guys have some opinions about my hot takes on Kor'vas Bloodthorn, but please leave some respectful comments below, subscribe to the channel, and tune in next time.